time. Does your team have a long-term goal? Long-term goals comes up in the sprint book as part of the beginning of the design sprint process. So essentially you decide in 2 years' time, what do you want it to look like? It just made me think, does your team have a long-term goal? Is it put somewhere where everyone can see it? Does everyone agree on it? And therefore, the long-term goal process, it's a relatively small part of the sprint, but it's really important and it stays up there the whole time. And it just made me think, like, yeah, 4 days of the sprint is one thing, but does your long-term goal sit where everyone can see it? And is your team aligned on it? So I just wanted to talk about that long-term goal process. Yes, it's part of the sprint, but I think it could also be an activity you could use if you find that maybe there isn't alignment, maybe the team just need a bit of refocusing. So I'll show you what it looks like. The long-term goal activity is pretty simple. You get everyone in your team together, everyone who needs to align behind what you're doing for the next 2 years and what you're aiming for, aspirationally, and they're going to write in 2 years' time and decide what they're aiming for. You're going to need some rectangular post-its, some sticky dots, and a pen for everyone. What the team's going to do is they're all going to write about 2 to 3 long-term goals. And you're going to put it in the context of where do you want to be in 2 years' time. For our example, let's take an industry coming back from the pandemic, such as a festival organizer. Now, the teams come together and they want to do their festivals differently, and they want to make sure that they're sustainable and have no impact on the places that they're held. So here's what the team might come up with. In 2 years' time, our events will improve the location that they're hosted in. They'll have a net gain. If you host one of their festivals, the piece of land that they use for it is going to be better afterwards. A bold claim, but the type of thing you need for a long-term goal. So once everyone has written 2 to 3 long-term goals, they go up on the board. Give everyone a chance to read them, and they can make notes on their post-its about why they've chosen each one, but don't show anyone. This is very much an anonymous process so far. Once everyone's had a chance to look at all of the long-term goals, they're going to vote for the one that they think is the one that we should be aligning behind as a team. And this is how they do it. Each sticky dot has the initial of the person, so everyone's getting 1 vote each. They're going to place their sticky dot on the long-term goal they want to choose, but you have to be very careful to make sure no one's influenced in how they vote. Say, for example, the big boss person decides to put theirs on one, and then afterwards everyone's just like, well, what's the point? So everyone's going to vote at exactly the same time so they're not influenced by each other. So the votes are in. But before you make any decisions, it's time for everyone to go over to the long-term goal that they voted on and explain to the group in 1 minute why they've chosen it. And you can use the notes that you made earlier to do that. Now, finally in this process, it helps to have a decider. That is something you want to decide before the group gets together, who's going to make the final call. They've seen the vote, they've heard everyone's explanations, and now they're going to make their decision on the long-term goal you're going to take forward. And there you have it. The team have got their guiding North Star to work towards. Make sure it's up on the wall, make it nice and big and clear, and then the whole team is aligned on what you're aiming for. The long-term goal activity, a great activity for bringing your teams together to align on a goal. Check out the key questions video, a great follow-on activity that goes together with long-term goals.